Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're all enjoying the summertime, and it's sort of okay here in UK. It's like around 20 degrees. So what I want to do today is basically I kind of haven't done much art in the last few weeks because I have been away and I haven't had a chance really. So I feel a little bit lost. Is that typical feeling where you don't know which sketchbook to go to? Do I want to paint faces? Do I want to paint flowers? Or what is just... It's unclear what's going on in my creative mind at the moment. So what I thought I'll do is I'll do something different, and I decided to pull out my Copic Ciao markers. I bought these a good 7, maybe 8 years ago, and I haven't used them much. So I hope they haven't dried up, and they come in these beautiful skin tone colors. So this is Pale Grape, V91, Pinkish White, R00. This one is Blush, R20, Skin White, E00, and finally Dull Ivory, E43. So they have a super brush tip on one end, and then they have medium broad tip on the other end, which is that chiseled kind of tip for filling in larger areas quicker. And I don't really use it, but this brush is quite nice. Then what I'm going to do is, to the right of the screen, you can see also some of my Tombow markers. So I used to use these again ages ago, and I might use them today, I may not, I haven't decided, but I definitely want to use the Ciao Copic Ciao markers. So these are similar because they have two ends, but their tip is a lot, from what I remember, it's a lot softer. So for the paper, I want to use this paper, which is the B paper, and it's the heavyweight Vellum drawing paper. So supposedly it doesn't take watercolor or any sort of water based mediums. I'm trying to see, it's 147 GSM, so it's not thick, but it's super smooth, yet it has this lovely texture. I actually love this paper. I'll show it to you here. Hopefully you can see. There we go, the texture of it right there. So I have, however, used water, and you can see the paper is completely flat. It hasn't warped, and although I haven't used too much water, still I did. So I really like how the watercolor behaves on this paper. I've used here also ink, and that was super smooth, and I had loads of time to move it around. So I quite like it, and so I decided I'm going to use this paper today again. And although it's unclear in my mind what I'm going to do, I definitely want to do some sort of face illustration. So I'm going to get a piece of paper out first. I wish this paper came even like in a thicker weight. So let's see. I will probably cut it down to a smaller size. Okay, so I have cut the page into 4 parts, so equal 4 parts, in half and half again, and I actually quite like working in this format. So let's start, and I'm going to use my Pentel something Graphgear, yes, Pentel Graphgear pencil. This is 0.5. So I think I'm going to go for a round shape of a face, like that. Something which I usually don't do, but today I feel like it, so why not? And then we're going to create a neck. All of it is going to be very basic. And then thinking maybe to give her a little fringe. So I want it to be quite illustrative. And I also definitely want some flowers there, which I haven't decided how I'm going to do. So maybe I will just start by painting them. So what I like about this pencil actually is that it glides really nicely. So I can draw beautifully with just a few kind of with very little pressure, which is something that generally I wouldn't do, as I tend to press hard on the pencil, but this one does glide quite nicely. So I'm just going to really quite easily create a few leaves, and I hope you can see well. Maybe I'll just go a touch more closer. There we go. So this is a nice flower, I like it. I do want to perhaps add a few little ones to it. So I'm going to do some layering, which is really fun, as it looks, I find, a lot better. And one more somewhere. 3 is a good number always. So I might just actually create like a little flower bud over here, like so. And a smaller one here. That should be enough. I don't want to overcomplicate things. Now I'm going to erase those lines, because obviously the flower is sitting above the fringe and I don't want to see this line here. So another good reason why you shouldn't press too hard on your pencil, so that it's easier to erase. And that is it. Okay, so now I'm going to actually correct this line here as well. So she has this, what might be a fringe, what might be a little hat, we don't know yet, but let's go with it anyhow. I'm going to go for a Caucasian skin tone, and I'll probably start with, actually, what about this one, pinkish white? I'll go with this color and see how I get on. They're still nice and juicy, so that's good. I'm really not good with alcohol markers at all, just because I didn't really exercise or use them that often, so I might end up with a very streaky result. But just hang on there. We are going to do this together. I love kind of learning things together, so some of those videos that are not prepared, you know, where I just kind of go with it and show you something as well as learning myself. So I'm just going to go in and color this in again. As the alcohol evaporates and the pigment kind of settles, you'll find that it becomes a little bit more even. I'm also going to go with the neck. So the fun thing about alcohol markers, as I understand, is that you can do a lot of like shading. And let's see about this one here. Oh, I should have left the eyes white, shouldn't I? Yeah, a big mistake. But anyways, I'm going to go in now and draw in the eyes. Remember, I like the eyes to be huge, so I'm placing them right there. I will try to solve this issue by adding some of the white gel later. Okay, so going back now into this slightly darker color, and I just want to start blending and mixing like so. So what you do for blending is you just essentially kind of go over the top of the color, and that will create a bit of darkness. So I'm also going to add this darker color right here at the neck area and a little bit on the ears. Also going to start shading some of the face shape. So obviously it's round, so we need to create that kind of slightly spheric shape to it. And also depends where you want it more blended or less blended. I'm also going to add the pink again. Now I'm going to build it up even with slightly stronger color. This is a dull ivory, and I'm going to just, you see this is a lot darker, so I need to be quite careful here. I'm just going to add it in a few areas, and it's not a good idea to actually add shading on the lower part of the face, because I find it just ends up looking like a beard, really. So I'm just going with the mid color and then the pink one to end over it like that, and then let's see what happens when it's going to dry. So it should hopefully mix a little bit more. Right at the bottom of the eye, I want to add this color as well. It looks quite lovely. Please God, don't give me the addiction to Copic markers, because that might make me go bankrupt. I have been resisting it. I love the look of the Copic markers, you know, those little boxes that you get with the colors, and their colors are just so delicious. I mean, pale grape, that's just the color itself, the name of it is gorgeous. Okay, so that is it for the shading for now. The next thing I want to do is work on the face. So I'm going to start creating lips like so, and a little nose. Also I want to do some nice kind of eyebrow, quite easy, nothing too complicated. And then I do want to have a little chalker. Sometimes I put 2 depending what mood I'm in. So that is that. For the eye, I'm going to start shaping them a little bit, and this is where I'm going to take the pressure off the pencil, because I don't want it to be too strong in case I need to correct something. So I'm just going to give her huge eyes, like I said before. I will make a tutorial for you, maybe, or even a class, where I will explain in depth how you can change an expression, like make it more sassy, dreamy, angry, by changing the shape of the eye. So I'm doing this quite, you know, without any particular need of great detail, just quite lightly. I do want to give her a smoky eye, so I'm going to thicken up the line down below underneath the eye. And that is, I think, it for now. The next thing I'm going to do is go into watercolors, because I do love using watercolors. I just need to find them. I'm going to use the palette that I have created for this summer. If you are interested in it and you want to see all the colors or to find out about them, then have a look in my description. There are 2 videos that I will link. I'm going to give her also a little blush like so. And I will link those videos for you, and you can find out what I've been doing there and what colors I used. So if you see something a little bit too harsh and you want to blend it out, go right on the edge of it and that will do the job. It will kind of smoothen things out, and once the alcohol evaporates and dries, it will be a smoother line. So you remember how we first applied this one and it was a very harsh line, and then it's kind of really softened down. So let's look at the other side. As they are alcohol markers, keep in mind that they will kind of go through a little bit, but they haven't, I don't think they have bled through. Maybe the cheeks a little bit because I went over a few times, but that's what to be expected. So next thing, I want to play with watercolor. So actually before I do that, I want to bring the white in for the eyes. This is a great pan to have. Now let's see that the alcohol marker won't be pulled down from underneath, but in any case it will whiten it. You can see it's already done the job quite nicely. You can then go over the top later if you want again. So I am going to start by actually watercoloring this part here. So let me grab my current favorite brush, which is it's the Silver Black Velvet Round 4, and let's see, which I don't need that. I keep forgetting that I started using my cloth here, which I quite like. So the cloth goes back in. I love that because it looks like the palette, you know, when you look at the artist palette, you know what colors they use, etc. Okay, I can see that the battery is blinking, so let me charge it a little bit and come back. Can I just share this lemonade I'm drinking? So I just went downstairs to get it from the fridge, and it's Turkish lemonade. If you are ever in a Turkish shop and go to their fridge area and get this Uludağ gazoz, I think it's pronounced. It is so delicious. It's this perfect lemonade for a hot summer's day. I love it. So on that note, let's continue with this beautiful art. So what we're going to do is I'm going to see how the layering goes. Oh, by the way, as I was charging my battery, what I did off camera is I took my Lamy Safari fountain pen and I loaded it. I mentioned it in that video that I loaded it with Ancient Copper from Diamine. So this ink here, and it's this kind of like a brownish color. I really love it. So what I'm gonna do next, it's because it's a water soluble ink, I will add watercolor on top of it, and then hopefully, let me just zoom you out a little touch, there we go. Hopefully we'll get a nice result. Well, I actually know that we will get a nice result because I love how this ink looks when it is dissolved. So what I'm gonna do next is probably just work a little bit on the face features, and just going to move this ink a little bit into the eye area like so, and then down below here. Because it has dried up, I mean, I think I did it about 20 minutes ago, it's not going to move as nicely, so I'm just going to lay a fresh line now, and then you'll see how beautiful it is. So like that. It's got that bit of redness to it. Right, so in terms of the shadowing, I'm just going to touch it again just on the sides here, and a little bit here as well. There's a similar color in my palette right here, so I'm just gonna now do that with watercolor like this. This is the, let's see, it's the transparent red oxide. So it's quite nice. It fits really nicely with the ink. Right, so let's see how the ink or the watercolor will work. Okay, so at some point the memory card got full and it just switched off. So what I'm doing is just adding a bit of watercolor like so, and then I'm also glazing soon after.
Nada más que solo palabras, y si no las cumples se van a desvanecer. Algún día volverás tú al lado mío y yo de testigo. Vamos 1, 2, 3 sin estrés. Muéstrame sus pasos, te cuento hasta 10 y ven. Yo sé que tú quieres moverlo sin pena, ven, sin estrés. Muéstrame sus pasos, te cuento hasta 10 y ven. Yo sé que tú quieres. Sé que tú quieres conmigo, amor, todos esos placeres que brinda la vida y que nos hace tan feliz. Sé que tú quieres conmigo, amor, todos esos placeres, como acariciarte y conocerte de raíz. Recuperé la fe cuando yo a ti te vi, mami. Bailabas como un ángel.
Then I will change to a slightly more yellow hue, or tone rather, and then I will go over here, and now you'll see, because this is a small area, the ink just starts blending in. So this was just a pure white watercolor, yellow watercolor. Okay, and now I'm going to go into something green, and that would also blend in quite nicely. I recommend to not mess about too much here, just do as minimal brush strokes as possible, because otherwise you'll completely get rid of the lines and they will blend in and just look a little bit messy. So maintain a bit of detail there. I'm just taking another green color. Just looks so beautiful to me. And then into sub green, so it's going to be the darkest of the green. And that of course will also pull in that ink and create that golden tone. I'm going to use the same green to go into these little areas here. And we're pretty much done, except for the little flower here, which I haven't decided what to use. So I might go into that orange and see whether that will be muted down slightly, because it's a very bright orange. I don't want it to stand out too much. There we go. I think that should be enough. Yeah, it's now starting to move into there. And in terms of the hat, I think I'll just go in with that, with the black. Black, or maybe... Maybe I'll go in with the Payne's Grey. I quite like Payne's Grey. Again, leaving a highlight here and there, and then just going into the darker color and just adding a little bit of darkness underneath the petal, just to make it more dimensional, really, like so. Okay, so once that is done, I will then also try to add some blush to her face and see how that goes. So I've got this kind of very milky color, which is this one, Magello Shell Pink. And I'll just watercolor that slightly in. And then lip-wise, probably red lip, I'm thinking. Red or orange? I actually quite like the orange one. Let's make it like a nice fiery orange. So, there we go. Always leaving highlights inside of the lip. Like that. To make it look glossy and plump. And that is it probably. I'm thinking maybe just a little skin tone or shadowing on the side. Just a little watercolor action. Like so. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. The watercolor seems to act slightly different on top of the alcohol markers. Okay, so I also want to add some darkness underneath the eye and just above the eye. It kind of sits there, doesn't move too much, doesn't feather out too much, but anyways, I can do that by wetting. So let's wet the paper here and go in with this watercolor into the wet, like so. So that sort of softens the edge a little. And now I'm going to dry it and then we'll come back to it. Alright, so it's nice and dry now. The only thing that is still a little bit wet and glossy is her lip stick. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was really interesting experience to use something that I haven't used in a very long time actually. And I love combining the alcohol markers, particularly these ones. These are obviously very, very good quality and they're beautiful. I think the Ciao markers are supposed to be a little bit more affordable than the big Copic markers, but yeah, I see them being used a lot by illustration artists and just wanted to give it myself a go. And especially if I had them already, I just love using or making myself use certain things that I haven't used before, and definitely it does affect watercolor on top of it. So give it a go if you have them as well and see how you like it. But I quite like this little illustration, so let me know what you think about it. Also the ink, how that has changed the watercolors. You can see this beautiful brown it has gone into, the sap green, and that is basically the ancient copper ink as well. Keep in mind that sometimes it responds better. For example, underneath the eyes it didn't respond as well as I was hoping for, or as it usually does, simply because I think there was alcohol marker underneath on the paper, and so it didn't blend out as well, but also because I gave it like a 20-minute time beforehand. So if you draw immediately a nice thick line and you let the water go over it, it will sort of bleed out really beautifully and nicely. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I just want to wish you a super good day, no matter how good or bad your day was before. I hope the rest of your day will be beautiful and you'll the morning after, even better. So I'm sending you love and thanks for watching and see you soon.